Hello and welcome to SHRP Talk, the show by washed-up athletes for washed-up athletes looking to be their best self. On today's show, the brothers and I are joined by our very first guest, who also happens to be our baby sister. Payton Snyder joins the show. She details what it was like growing up with three older brothers who are athletes, her own athletic career, some injuries she dealt with in high school and into college, and how she emerged on the other side pain-free and stronger than ever. Hopefully from listening to today's show, you realize the power that movement has and how we shouldn't take it for granted, the benefit of doing hard things, and how struggles can be used to shape your life and help you become your best self. So thanks for tuning in, and hopefully you enjoy. Before we get rolling with today's episode, I want to take a second to tell you about SHRP Training. Snyder Health Recovery and Performance Training is an online training platform to help washed-up athletes look, feel, and move better. We offer several different group options catered to your needs, interests, and goals, with new programs delivered each month through the TeamBuilder app. Features include video demonstrations, 24/7 messaging and feedback, and access to the SHRP Edge, a comprehensive guide to upgrade your diet, sleep, and life. Use the code PODCAST in all caps to get 50% off your first month when checking out a program. Iron sharpens iron, so let us help you become your sharpest self. Now let's go. And we're back with another edition of SHRP Talk, joined not only by the brothers, but also our very first guest of SHRP Talk, the fourth Snyder, the youngest Snyder, the most spoiled Snyder.
Oh.
Whatever. Payton, welcome to the show.
Hello,
How you
thank
doing?
you. Good. Nervous, but good.
Oh, yeah, you should be.
What are you nervous for? Just to
Great.
talk with the boys.
I know I'm going to get grilled, though.
Yeah, stay sharp.
Brandon, Jaden, how you guys doing?
Check.
Doing good.
Doing
Ready to
great.
grill? Ready to roast.
That's the plan. Just
I
an
got my
hour
spatula.
roast session is the plan.
You can
Tom
if you
Brady,
want.
Tom Brady got it light.
I'll sit and take it.
Well, we can start off with the little intro. Payton, you want to just tell the world about yourself, where you're from, where you went to school, a little bit of athletic background, college. Take it wherever you want.
Oh, boy. Yes, I'm the youngest Snyder. Went to Westline like the rest of these three. Followed in their footsteps. Tried to. I'm currently at Northwestern for elementary education. Student teach in the fall. Did not play sports in college, but I played volleyball and basketball and track growing up. Quit basketball sophomore year, so stuck out volleyball and track, and then had to switch to golf my senior year for some injury purposes. So kind of been all over the place, but yeah, here I am. Just watching sports now, not playing, but I love to work out, love to stay active, be the best me that I can be.
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah. Ray's
Yeah.
right. Graduated college in 2 years, basically.
Yeah, 2.5.
Insanity.
It's
Crazy.
not bad. Student teaching this fall.
Yeah, I'm
In
excited.
Sioux Center.
Sioux Center and then Boyden Hall for the last 5 weeks. Some first graders. I'm excited. The best grade.
Is that what you're hoping to teach next year?
I hope so. First or second. I like the lower.
Yep.
When they're young and innocent.
Lower elementary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love school.
For-
Love the teacher.
Before they know too much.
Yeah. But they'll tell you how it is, bro. They'll be honest with
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Gotta love it. Yep.
Well, I mean, you hit on it a little bit, growing up playing some sports, but also having some older brothers playing some sports. So I guess you're 4 years younger than Jaden, but still pretty close to us in age. So I guess from your perspective, what was it like growing up with three brothers who were, playing sports year-round, and then, Brandon getting into AAU tournaments, and then all of us going off to college and traveling for our respective sports there. So what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, I was the tag along to everything. From seriously the youngest that I can remember, I was in the bleachers. Probably not watching as I should have, but, I was there. Kind of watching, kind of learning, the things.
I was the same way. So
I know. I tried to ask Mom. I was like, Mom, was I watching their events or was I just playing with friends? And she goes, right, a mixture. So, but no, I loved, honestly, going to all of the events. I never complained too much. I don't remember a ton of being so young. Like, I don't remember Brandon's Barnstormers or some of, like, your high school sports. But yeah, I knew I wanted to play sports just like you guys, and I wanted to be like my brothers. You guys had a positive role model of sports for me. I don't think it was pushed necessarily in a negative way, which is good because I know people don't have that experience. But yeah, I wanted to be like my big bros. I got in the weight room to be like you, trying to be big and strong as I could, keep up with the wrestling matches that we would have.
When did that kind of start for you? I feel like you were somewhat of a late bloomer in that sense. I know we've talked about like our own progress into the weight room and how that was not fun for any of us at the beginning and at different ages or whatever, but maybe just touch on like when you really started to fall in love with that, because I mean, like in recent history, I feel like you've maybe been the most faithful to that process, and especially through your injuries and everything. So
yeah, so for us, sports-wise, our girl group in my grade started, we think it was 8th grade. I tried to ask a few of them, but pretty sure it was 8th grade that we started. And we were blessed to have Chad as an athletic trainer that kind of trained us into a program. So we weren't just handed a piece of paper and said, here you go, like, go in the weight room and do your best. But we were taught kind of drill by drill-ish, day by day, kind of how to do it. Obviously, we were still young and not fully grown, and we were the littlest people in there with all these big high school guys. So it's a little intimidating right away. I don't think I loved it, but I think I was also a little bit ahead of most of the girls because I had you guys to train me. Whether it was like weekends or whenever, I would just tag along with you guys. So my form wasn't as much of a beginner as others. And then, so yeah, I didn't really love it, but I knew I had to do it because obviously to get better and playing time and all those factors that go into it. So ours was just twice a week. You know, the main lifts were squatting and benching. You know, you had one day and one the other. Needed bench, love a squat. Got to 225 in high school.
Savage.
Yep. But it was more so I did it because I had to do it, not because I wanted to do it, which I think a lot of athletes have in high school. But then, like you kind of mentioned, injuries into high school, I started falling into the path of things that I couldn't do and things that I could do. And I think that's when things started to shift of I missed doing what I was doing, and I realized I love this a lot more than what I thought I did. And then I started to kind of live by control the controllable. With injuries, obviously you can't really control that, but I knew I could control, like, if I had lower body issues, I knew I could still do upper body and still push myself that way. Like, there's always a way around it. So then I started to love it, and nowadays it's my favorite thing ever. It's funny, at church this Sunday, we were just talking about our sanctuary and like, what is that safe place for you? And mine right away is the weight room, because I mean, I've had such a good experience, but then it's also where I can bond with you guys because we all do it. It's something that we all love. So it's been a journey, but I'm to the point that I absolutely love it, and I wouldn't change a thing of the whole process.
Going back to the intimidation piece starting out, we talked about it. For us, it was being intimidated by the guys above us and being weak. I'm curious, from a female perspective, what was the main intimidation factor for you? Was it just having a bunch of guys around in there dominating the space, especially when it was a little more unstructured, or not knowing, like, I guess Chad did a good job, but like the intimidation of not knowing how to train as well? I guess, what was that for you?
Yeah, I think us girls were lucky, and I don't know if this is all girls, but the grades above me did really well, like taking us under their wing and showing us, like, you know, stand up for yourself, go get, if you need a rack, go get yourself a rack. But I think the most intimidating part of it had to be the just being judged by the guys, because obviously the guys, lift more than us, weight and amount of times in the weight room. So just like if we weren't lifting very much, or if our form was wrong, or just like we always thought we were getting stared at in a way, which is sad, but I mean it's the truth. We were just inexperienced girls that were in there to get a 45-minute lift done, and we weren't in there for 2 hours, so we were in and out. And yeah, I think we all kind of thought we were getting judged. I don't know if we were, honestly, but it was just in the back of our head of they're looking at us. Oh my god, it's dumb, but it's the truth of it.
Kind of going off that, from I would say like the female perspective, is there any like stigma around the weight room? Like I know there's the girls that don't want to get bulky. I know there's some, I don't know, about groups that maybe think it's not cool to try hard, or don't want to maybe work too hard in the weight room and kind of check it off as a checklist. I'm not saying this is all girls by any means, but did you feel like there was any stigma around the weight room that maybe prevented you from doing things that you thought maybe you should try, or anything like that?
No, there definitely was, but honestly, I think because I mostly lifted, my group was me, Xavier, Mallory Morgan, and we had Brooklyn Meyer, obviously, in there. And I think our group, we were kind of competitive. Like, we wanted to lift large amounts. I know me and Xavier would lift together, and we would keep adding the weight till we honestly couldn't do it. But I do think that stigma is real, and that keeps a lot of girls from going up in weight, and they just stay where they're comfortable because they don't want to fail. Because I think you can't get a small amount of weight up, like you look like you're weak and you're not capable. The bulk thing I also think is real, because you're going to get big thighs and you're going to get big arms if you want to lift heavy, and that's just a part of it. And if some girls don't want to accept that, or don't want to look like that, they're going to stay where it's comfortable and just not move up in weight. But I was blessed to have a good group where I could lift heavy. I could get jacked alongside them, and it was a fun competition for us. Yeah.
I think it's important. I know you mentioned a couple times to maybe just dive into like your injuries and kind of what you faced, and feel free to like take some time to talk about that and like how it affected you. I remember hearing stories about you like standing at games in the student section or whatever of a basketball game, and like you couldn't stand or it hurt for you to even just stand and like cheer on, fellow classmates or whatever. And I don't know, a lot of those stories stuck out to me, and how much you endured through that process, and how you're feeling now, but mostly like what you endured. I think you were in that process for a long time, and I think it's probably important to clarify like to people how long you were suffering, what you were suffering from. I think you probably have the best grasp on what that injury is actually like, and I think it's something to be aware of. I know yours was like a little bit more chronic than acute, like mine was acute, but I think it's probably important for you to kind of let people know that injury that you were talking about, so we can kind of move from there.
Yeah, I think first we should start. So I was diagnosed with Compartment Syndrome, and I'll get to that. But there's 2 different types. So I had the chronic, and Brandon actually had the acute. Brandon, I don't know if you want to explain what yours was first, your acute.
Yeah, I can. So I like had a one rep incident. Basically, I was in a basketball game, and I had some soreness in my peroneus muscles, like basically on the outside of my shin, below my knee, and was playing and had it like in a sleeve, and took a jump shot in a game and felt something that I'd never felt before and didn't really know what it was, and got it taped and was misdiagnosed and all of these things. But I actually like tore my peroneus longus muscle, which is a somewhat significant muscle that helps with like the flexion of your foot, I would say. I know I'm not the best with these terms, but pretty important in picking your foot up. And my compartment syndrome came as a consequence of that injury that went misdiagnosed. And so basically like things weren't working right in my legs, so the blood was settling in my compartments because of the injury, which is a lot different. Like I needed surgery, 1 for the compartment syndrome, but 2 to like repair the muscle and put that back to like basically the bone. It was kind of like ripped off the bone. So that was my situation, but that's a lot different than the situation that you were in, although like part of what we needed surgery for was the same thing. And so I guess maybe that kind of changes into to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And quick side note, just to talk on like the misdiagnosis and the time between maybe what they told you and mom kind of being a savior and maybe saving an amputation. Because I remember you were in a boot initially. I don't remember how long it was
The
before
game
they
was on a
actually.
Tuesday, and I had surgery on Friday at like 5 p.m. So that
Yeah.
was
So there was a time period between where you were in like a ton of pain and like you
10
were in
out
a
of
boot.
10.
I remember taking the boot off of you like on the couch because you
You guys remember
struggled
that
to move.
process?
And I remember taking the boot off and you were in more pain than I don't think I've seen you in that much pain in my life. And like for mom to know like this is not right, like this is not okay. Like shout out to mom, but I
Yeah,
don't know if you want to speak on that time at all, but
I
I thought that
can.
was really interesting.
I mean, basically, they told me it was a muscle contusion. I went in like 2 times and like saw the trainer, and it's not really no one's fault. You know, it's like a really rare thing. It doesn't happen. I think this was literally like the only time that the doctor that did the surgery had ever seen this before. Talking fast because we can talk about this later. This is more about Payton, but essentially like went misdiagnosed and like I said went to Friday, but I was walking on it, right? I had a completely torn peroneus longus muscle, and Colin, I'll send you the picture and you can throw it in a little Instagram
Yeah.
clip or whatever, and people can close their eyes if they want to, but it looked like when I had surgery that like the muscle was out of my leg, like it looked like bacon was out of my leg. I remember anyway. People made
Nasty.
fun of me for it, bacon leg A or whatever they call me. It was, anyways, but it literally looked like I mean, the muscle was out of my leg. It was completely torn. And like I said, it's just weird that they couldn't diagnose it or whatever. But thankfully, like I said, mom took me in on Friday at 3 p.m. and I fought her for it, just like I did when I was septic. Sometimes mother's intuition is just greater than everything else, and I went into a walk-in clinic and it happened to be a foot and ankle specialist or whatever, and so it was just like the perfect combination of, you know, going in at the right time, seeing the right walk-in doctor, and basically just got rushed to surgery after that. So, I mean, if I would have, they told me if I went through the night without having surgery, I would have lost the lower half of my leg. And so a lot of my career after that, playing career, what I do for a job now, etc., wouldn't look the same. So I know mom saved my leg in that sense. But like I said, we can talk about that more later, but more interested in kind of Payton's situation and just everything that she kind of suffered for those couple of years almost. I feel like it was a long time that you went through
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, so
you
chronic
played a whole volleyball season
I did. Yeah.
with it. It's insane.
So chronic is it's obviously your lower legs, and it's when pressure and blood pools up in your compartment and like around your calf. And it's supposed to happen. It happens a lot in like sprinters or like sun work, like exercises. So you would run, your legs would go kind of numb, have a lot of pain, but then that pain wears away within 15 minutes. So that's just backstory of what it's supposed to be, quote unquote. Again, you'll see why I explain that later. But the freshman year, I played again volleyball, basketball, track. I didn't really have any. I mean, I've had a lot of just weird injuries, but nothing like extreme yet. In track that season, I did have leg issues, but we treated as shin splints. I don't know if that was compartment syndrome at the time, and we'll never know, but it's just interesting that I did have lower leg issues all the way back then. Then sophomore year comes around. Again, this is high school. We did not have track because of COVID. So normal volleyball season, I didn't play basketball, no track. And then going into junior year, volleyball was really good. I was healthy, good season. Did get quarantined. That's the sense point. Going into track, so I had track and I was playing AAU volleyball at the same time. And I started having leg pain within, I would say, 2 weeks of the season. Again, it's common for track to have shin splints, so saw the trainers. Shin splints, I used to take it easy, go off for a few practices. Meets were going to come soon, so try to rest it before to get ready. But the pain wasn't stopping. The pain was continuing. It started going from just after practice to I was having this all-day pain that wasn't going anywhere. I just felt like a constant throb in my legs at this point. So then we got x-rays, no shin splints, no stress fractures. I had no answers. Obviously, compartment syndrome was on the back of our heads. Dr. Ross, chirosport, said compartment syndrome from day one, and he honestly got me through this whole injury because he's the one person that knew and would like listen to me. I was like, this is not shin splints. I know it's something more. And he heard me. He understood. He knew. So I just held on to that this whole process. But during that season, I honestly was just doing whatever the pain managed. So I was doing acupuncture. I was doing literally everything. What's it even called? Dry needling. Don't know if you've ever heard of it. I was doing ARP. I was doing STEM. I was doing grafting. I was doing sleeves. Seriously, anything you name it. This was all just to run one meet. I wasn't on the table anymore. My pain was unimaginable. I was losing sleep. It was terrible. So I picked a meet to run, and I said, I'm going to run this meet. I don't care if I get last. I don't care if I am walking halfway through it. I'm going to run it. So we would do every treatment possible before the day, every treatment possible the next day. I was icing right after. Again, I was playing AAU volleyball, and I know I shouldn't have, but playing time's a factor. And if I didn't play AAU volleyball, I was going to be playing my senior year because that's just how, sports work. And I knew that I had to fight through that and just keep fighting that battle. So then it was summer stuff that summer. I did volleyball in the mornings. I didn't do speed camp, but I had to get through it. Tried taking a few weeks break and nothing got better. So then I played my senior year of volleyball again. Definitely shouldn't have. I was in a lot of pain. I would fake it till I make it through the game, and then I was icing right after, and I was getting my legs on a wall. At this point, my shins felt like they were going to snap because there was just so much pressure. And again, we didn't know what was wrong. We didn't have any answers. By this point, we've seen an orthopedic surgeon, and he wouldn't do compartment syndrome testing because I didn't match the books. Why do it if I don't match all of the symptoms? So that was frustrating. So then we finally turned to Mayo, and this was in January of my senior year. So this is post-sports. I knew I wasn't going to be able to run track, which was heartbreaking in itself. I think that was my favorite sport because I never really got a full chance at it. I never, I could never shine my light, as you could say. I think that's the sport I would have been best at. But so I had to just accept that and try to fix this problem. So we had to rule out vascular stuff first. So they did popliteal stuff, MRIs, x-rays, ultrasounds, all things vascular. And he was like, we got to see if this is compartment syndrome. So then later in October of that year, so this is a month later, again, I had the same pain. Nothing's gotten better. I'm not running. I'm working out barely. Pain hasn't changed, which it should, but that doesn't match compartment syndrome. So I get the compartment syndrome test, 24 stabs in your leg. They test you at rest by sticking a catheter in each of your compartments, measuring your, I think it's blood pressure. Jaden, maybe is that right?
Yeah,
I think so. And then you run on a treadmill until you can't do it anymore, and they stab the catheters back in. They check it, and then my numbers were already skyrocketing. I mean, we knew I had compartment syndrome, but my doctor was just curious if it would still be there after 5 minutes, so we tested them again. That's 8 more needles in the leg. But honestly, I didn't think the pain was that bad, but I think my legs were in so much pain already that this pain was nothing because I've been in pain every single day for years at this point. Sure enough, compartment syndrome, both legs, almost every compartment, and scheduled surgery for, I think it was last November and then last December. So 2 leg surgeries, 4 weeks apart. And I am pain-free. The best I've ever been. Celebration. Woohoo. The hardest journey mentally and physically that I've ever been on. But I have come out so much stronger than I thought would be possible. Like, I didn't think I'd ever be here. I didn't think the pain would ever end. I didn't think I was going to get a doctor that would listen to me. Thank goodness for, honestly, you guys and the parents and, honestly, Dr. Ross, too, to just have one doctor or professional say, like, it is this and believe in you, I think is what got me through, because I was like, okay, we will find someone that will test me and fix me at some point. So I had something to hold on to. Thank goodness. But that was 8 trips to Mayo, back and forth.
8 trips to Mayo.
8 trips to
That's
Mayo.
crazy.
Rochester, yep.
And Mayo's serious.
It is.
Mayo's
Yeah.
not one trip to Mayo is not a good trip.
No. And it's
Especially for
post-COVID,
a
so
year.
it's all mass, everything. And yeah, it was nuts. But
Sheesh.
I don't think I've ever actually gone through the timeline, and
That's wild. It's one thing going through all that. Like, I knew it was a long time, but you said that all started kind of freshman year you started feeling it?
I think technically freshman year, I don't think I ever had a stress fracture in my leg because I didn't show anything, but that's what we treated it as. But yeah.
You mentioned...
Yeah, go Jade.
I was just going to touch on, you mentioned the mental toll.
Mm-hmm.
I know from watching you through that time, I learned a lot of lessons on strength and on resilience. I know I felt like I wanted to help, but I didn't know how. Like, it's one of those things that you don't really have an answer. It's one of those injuries, like you said, it's really rare. So both not knowing what it is and dealing with all the pain, what would you say you did to help mentally get through something like that? Because yeah, you're talking 4 years of dealing with pain and not knowing what to do or why it's happening. And then I'm just curious what maybe strategies you used, or what was the end goal? What made you be so resilient and be so strong? And yeah, just want to pick your mind on the mental aspect.
Yeah, definitely. I think early on when I was starting to miss out on some sporting, like some games and practices, and see all of my friends be able to participate, I think the hardest part there is why me? Like, why is this happening now? Why during my favorite like sports? Why does it have to be such a complex injury? Which obviously didn't know that so early on, but we still weren't getting answers. So wrestling with that constantly, and honestly, my faith, if I didn't have that, I don't know how people get through something like this, health related, or honestly just unanswered things in life. I just always told myself it's happening for a reason. You'll see the other side. You'll know why whenever the time is to come. I think I held on to that. There were obviously lots of tears, lots of anger. I think anger was my hardest thing just because it's not fair. But it really changed my outlook on a lot of things. It turned into such a daily pain that I was grateful to walk like without pain, especially after the surgeries. I had this new mindset of being thankful for being able to stand and walk and not being in pain. Like, sports didn't matter anymore because this was so much more than sports. I also think my injury blessed me in a way of I didn't ever really feel drawn to collegiate sports, and obviously following into 3 brothers who played collegiate sports, I think it was like almost necessary that I had to do it. I didn't think there was another option. So I kind of forced myself into this mindset of, okay, be ready to play a sport in college. Don't know what that is. But then this all happened, and I knew that was out of the picture. And I think it made the transition out of sports easier for me. Like, I knew when my last game was, I knew when my last practice was, and I was okay with that because I knew it was coming and I was able to prepare. But I can see how athletes who have abrupt injuries and don't know it's their last, like, I can't imagine what that's like, because I honestly had the timeline in mind, if that makes sense. Like, I knew when the end was. So I was at peace with that. But I think I just held on to the most that there's a purpose in this and you don't know what it is. And I think there's more to life that goes by that too. It's not just injury related. Having to learn that so young is hard. Like, as a junior, and yeah, that's hard. But you have to surround yourself with people that can build you up, and people that, I think with you guys too, didn't question any of it. You didn't make any of it harder. You were just there, and I just knew you were there. Like, if I needed to rant about it, I'm sure. I mean, I know you guys would listen. Mom put up with so much of my complaining, bless her soul, because I just had to get it out because I was keeping it inside. But I think it's okay to be angry because, I mean, we're human. It's part of who we are. But also knowing that it's going to be okay and that the anger's temporary, the pain's temporary, all of it's temporary. And there's something so much better coming for you. That's what I held on to for sure.
Yeah, I think the word lament is a powerful thing. Like, God knows what you're feeling, and so you don't have to hide that from him. So being able to, through that process, just being able to be honest with them, but then also having someone like Mom for that. Honestly, I personally didn't hear you complain a ton through it. Like, you handled it. You handled it better than I would have. I can say that for sure, like, no doubts. But yeah, like, you weren't the type to go around complaining to everyone, poor me, like, look at me. Like, you have your faith, you have Mom to go to, you have us around when you need it. But yeah, I feel like that, taught you, like you said, at a young age, how to handle adversity and the not knowing. Like, with injuries, Brand's had his fair share, but most of them, he knew kind of what the timeline, what he needed to do to get back. But for you, it was years and years of not knowing. And so, I can't relate to that, but just seeing you through that and come out the other side like you have, like, just super cool perspective. So
I guess the next question I have is, like, if anybody knows Payton, like, she knows, like, the effect that she has on kids. Like, I just remember so many times going up north, like, by the end of the week, she's got, like, a little penguin flock, of just, like, kids that are following her around. And I didn't know, like, most of their names because they're all, like, little kids of somebody that are blonde and blue, blue-eyed and all of this. And I guess that leads me to think about, like, your career pursuit into education. And I guess my question is, like, I know we're talking a lot about, like, injuries and a lot about your body and weight room stuff, and that's kind of the core, I guess, of this podcast. But I guess, what lessons can you take from your injuries and how you've suffered, and how did that maybe lead you into the career path you have and then drive you to finish in such a short amount of time? And how does that, I guess, drive you forward as, like, a future educator and working with those kids? Like, what maybe lessons did you learn from that you maybe look to pass on in much simpler ways, right? As you're working with kindergartners or first graders or second graders, or what other maybe goals do you have to handle, like, or to do outside of teaching, I guess, the question.
Yeah, definitely. So I think freshman and sophomore year, I don't think I was in between being, like, a nurse practitioner and teacher. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go the science route or the, more education route. I just knew it was going to be kid focused because, kind of like you mentioned, kids have always they've been my purpose my whole life. Like, I just connect with them easy. I'm a safe place for them, and it happens almost instantly. It's obviously a gift from God. I knew that early. But then with all these injuries happening, I started taking gen eds. I knew I wanted to go to Northwestern because, you all have a little foot in Northwestern. I had to be just like you. So I got those gen eds done, and I was moving along a lot faster than I realized, and I got almost 40 credits done. Decided education was the way I wanted to go. I think that one always felt right. I wanted to do it since I was 4 years old, besides being a cheerleader. But after that, I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to follow in Dad's footsteps. How can you not when he's such a great principal? He was a great teacher. I only hear good things. And you guys all obviously chose the exercise route, and Mom couldn't get any of you to be a teacher. So I just feel for that.
I started that way.
Yeah.
I started as a math education, and then I got to Calc 3, and I was like,
you were done.
There's no numbers in these equations, so
I'm done.
This isn't math anymore.
Yeah. So I just chose elementary ed, and I think yeah, going through the injury, I think that, I mean, it sounds so simple, but I mean, you can do hard things. And I think our world today, especially, I mean, it's not that it's opposite of that, but it almost like people always take the easy way out. It seems like we try to avoid the hard. But I think after this injury, it's like, no, you can do hard things, get through hard things. And if I can put that in little kids' heads when they're still so young and push them outside of their comfort zones and get them to do hard things and be confident in themselves and be loved for no matter where they come from. I think that's my favorite part of it is you get kids from everywhere. You have kids with all different stories. You will never know the full picture of the kid that you have in your classroom. But to just love them every single day and be a safe place, make each kid feel seen and heard. Because I always had that experience growing up. And when I was at my lowest, I always had people to bring me up. And I want to be that person for every single person in my classroom. Yeah. I just love little kids.
I love
They're the
that.
best.
I know. I love that. I love that though. That, like you can do hard things, you know, and I think that's so powerful. I don't know. Like I'd be thinking about that. Like I feel like I don't do enough hard things, you know. It's like, I saw something this morning. Like every day you should do a mental, like cover like a mental hard thing, like a physical hard thing, and a spiritual hard thing, like every day, and like that's a full day. And I was just like, that kind of just like brings conviction on me, and like I had the opportunity to like work out this morning and extra time to do it, and I like didn't do it, and I like regret doing it now. And it's like, well, that's maybe what drives me forward. And it's like we can do hard things too, you know. And I think that's a lot of like what the sharp training kind of is. Hopefully, we can help you with is like, you know, setting a goal or like Colin even talked about like the negatives, you know, that you're fighting against, and like your walking talks and stuff. And like I know there's a lot of different motivators to do hard things, but I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's cool that you have that perspective to guide you to do hard things. And I feel like a lot of people haven't had that or haven't faced it well. Like when you look at it from how other people live throughout the world or how people used to live, we realize how good we actually have it. And so then we actually have to go through something that's actually hard, like you did. It gives you perspective, and obviously it sucks, but you realize there is some good that comes out of hard things. And so, yeah, just like you hit on, just in different ways, exposing yourself to doing hard things you maybe don't enjoy or won't maybe see the immediate payoff, but you know that in the long run it's going to work out. And so that's a cool perspective to have, and for you to be able to share that with, I mean, obviously kids are super impressionable, and that's a super cool population to work with and to share that gift with through the rest of your career. So that's super cool.
I think even just lessons you've learned, like the ability just to empathize with maybe kids who are struggling or going through something. Like you said, you don't know the full story. It's hard to not know and not be in full control, but just having the ability to empathize and be someone for those kids. Like you said, Ross was there. He was the one person that was in your ear, and you know the impact that one person can have that believes in you. So I think you have a unique ability to love on those kids and empathize with some struggles that they may be going through, whether that's at home or whether that's going through a phase in school that maybe they're struggling with. Because as we know, maybe some kids are doing better than others, and you're in a critical point in their learning where I think you teach them how to read, don't you? Or are you alphabet? So it's a critical time, and yeah, there's going to be kids that get it and kids that don't. And I think you're one to maybe leave the 99 for the one in a certain aspect, and really try to get that one lost kiddo to the next day with a smile on his face. And I think that's a lesson that you'll bring in with all that struggle maybe that you went through. And I think it's really cool.
Question. So you're in education, one of the four of us, and you talked about Dad, and I think what an impact he had on all of us, but maybe even you specifically. Like what have you learned from him? What about him inspires you? Maybe give him some props, just because this is post Father's Day, on like the man that he is and everything he's done for Westline and what a beautiful culture he's created and the teachers he's hired and how lucky we are to come from where we come from. I think from your perspective, that might be kind of neat.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, my dream is to teach at Westline. It's very unique. Like, I don't know a lot of people that want to go back and teach at the high school or elementary or wherever that they were. But I think it's hard not to, and we have the experience that we did. And I think a lot of that is because of Dad. I mean, the teachers we have, the community we have, the whole culture that we have can go back to him and how good he is at what he does. And I was able to see how good he is as a student. But now that I'm like substituting alongside him, I see a whole different perspective. And I think I kind of took for granted some of what he did and can be more appreciative of all of the work that he does do. A lot of it goes unnoticed. He doesn't get enough credit. But now, like, going into that, I'm funny, I wrote this in Father's Day card. I'm going to be able to be a great teacher because I had a greater teacher to look up to. Like, I learned from the best. And it's honestly been so fun going to school for education. I, like, learn things, obviously, and I'll come home and, like, Dad and I can talk about education-related things. Mom has no idea what we're talking about, but, you know, just to, like, or talk about new studies or, like, he'll try to prepare me for interviews. Like, we just have little discussions here or there, or just how to be a better teacher, or, you know, struggles that he's gone through to get me ready of what I'm really going to be experiencing in the real world. It's cool. We've bonded in a way that we never have, and it's all because of this profession. And I think we're only going to bond more as I enter into it and he closes that chapter. It's honestly really unique that that's the timing that he's about to be done and I'm about to start. And I'm telling myself, I just want to be half as good as him. Honestly, that's a job well done. I'll take it. That's how good I am.
I remember when I was still in Sioux City and just, I don't know, I think I was like asking for forgiveness on some things and maybe just like thanking him for how good of a father he's been. And I remember him saying that a lot of his success came from actually Coach Rosie and that everybody gets a new day. And I think that's like so important in his profession and in life is like, I feel like if you hold, you know, people accountable for everything that they've said before or did before and all of those things, like it gets really hard and you can see so much of the negatives in people. But I think when you come into like a work environment every day as if it's new and that people are new and not holding them entirely accountable for everything they've done before, I think that was one of the most like profound, like as far as from a teaching perspective, things and that professional perspective things that I've gained from him. And I again, that came from Coach Rosie, who's obviously had his own levels of success and legacy. And again, I see that continuing with Trev and Westline football and all of that. But I know that what a profound impact. I think he would say that too as he passed that along to me. But I mean, I think that's really important. I think that's important for kids too. You know, like you have to be able to forgive and not, you know, like I said, hold those. Yeah, accountability is important, but also like, you know, it's a new day. You know, sun came up today, and you gotta give people new days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess you mentioned your transition out of your athletic career was a little easier because of that injury. So since your athletic career has ended, what has the fitness journey looked like, you know, not having that goal of being a better athlete? And I guess you can talk about managing around the pain and what's that looked like since you've been pain-free?
Yeah, so when I was lifting or working out with the injury, just listening to my body and doing what I could. Obviously not trying to make the injury worse, doing a lot of upper body, trying to stretch different muscles in the legs just to see how that would help or worsen the pain. Kind of trial and error was the focus there. And then post-surgery, obviously did PT with Julie and Steve. Love those people. And I'm honestly never really PT before, and that was a cool experience. It's such great people to do it with.
Who's that?
Julie Arians. It's who Jaden did his internship.
Proactive.
Yeah.
Center.
Yeah. So shout out to them. They were great. I was kind of able to push myself, kind of like self-paced almost, I would call it. I mean, Julie's seen one Compartment Syndrome, I think. That's what it was in her life. So there's not a lot of there's not one right way to do it because she hasn't seen it a ton. So we were just kind of doing whatever my body responded well to. Obviously, a lot of balance, regaining a lot of strength. I mean, I was a week non-wavering, completely elevated in each leg. So I lost a lot. You wouldn't think you would lose that much in that short time, but you do lose a lot. Even in like your quad and your hamstrings, you're not walking on it. It's not doing anything. So just like kind of regaining into that slowly. Then I started lifting more, heavier, more myself. Colin, I think Jaden, all of you probably would kind of just write me little workouts here and there. But as of Colin, how far am I? 2 weeks? 2 more? I don't know how long.
I don't know.
I'm a Sharp customer. Yes, a lot of Sharp fitness. It's honestly like my dream because it's lifts that I've never done for some of them, and it's lifts that I love, but it's also lifts I don't love, but I have to do because it's on the thing, which I honestly think is a great thing because
Do the card.
Again, you can do hard things. Yeah, Sherry.
Sherry, what's this story? She likes to just tweak it a little bit.
She likes to sub out like
Paige
a
and I
hip
opted out of a
extension
few
for
things too.
leg press. Just not even close.
Yeah. Not even close.
She's
Sharp
stretched
training, we
it a little
opted
bit.
out a couple times. Yeah.
Hey, as long as you're in the gym.
Right?
For real.
No, but yeah, I do that. 4 workouts a week. I don't even know what program I'm on, which is bad.
Body.
I should know. Yeah. And I love it. I think my goal right now is to be the best me that I can be. I want to be in shape for right now as a nanny, as a teacher. I want to be on my feet all day. I want to be hands-on with the kids. And then later as a mom, I want to be in the best shape so I can keep up with kids because I don't know how you do that if you're not in shape. But yeah, I've always loved lifting. So I shouldn't say always. The last few years, I've always loved it. And honestly, now it's become a time of almost like meditation. I like to call myself an extroverted introvert. Nope. Introverted extrovert. Wait, which one is it?
I am confusion.
I think I'm an introverted expert. Wait, whatever. I don't know. But
Okay.
anyway,
Now we're changing the words. Can you explain what that means?
Extroverted.
Let's go with that.
No, I'm an introverted extrovert. There we go. So I am an extrovert, love talking to people, but I'm also like need my time by myself. And lifting has always been that. Like, not to be selfish, but I always been a put your AirPods in and dial in kind of lifter. Like I'm not a social bug. I know some people go to the weight room to socialize. I just like to be in there and be
Together.
Yeah.
Together. Have some fun.
Or Colin uses that as a dancer.
There's me singing again.
But I
Damn it, Troy. You cut that out. Sorry.
Yeah, pull that out.
I put in my Christian music, sometimes country, and it's time with me and God. I get to push myself, push my body, but also just be grateful for the day. Think what you feed. I usually lift first thing in the morning, so it's early, 4:45, 5 o'clock. But I think it's important to start your day that way, but also to put in how you want to feel. And for me, that's Christian music. I feel the most at peace, the most present during the day, most joyful. I have a lot of gratitude if I put that in. So lifting is more than just lifting for me, which I think is cool. I love it.
Give some artist shout outs. Give some
Brandon
people
Lake,
some music
always.
to listen to.
Everything Brandon Lake.
Okay.
Just saw Phil
Yeah,
Wickham
he's
in
fire.
concert. Phil Wickham's great. Josiah
Phil
Queen. Maverick
Mhm.
City.
Mm-hmm.
SEU Worship. There's so many good ones. They're all
Nice.
good. Elevation,
Nice.
all the things.
Keep going.
But yeah, no, I'm a Sharp customer. I love it.
Question.
Yeah.
You mentioned that track was probably your favorite sport in high school. Have you tried running since surgery? How has that gone? Do you have aspirations to run in the future? What does that look like?
Me and Peyton
Yes.
ran together.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'll get to that. Well, during PT noticed that I have I don't know, Jane, what do you call it if my leg keeps out? I don't know if there's a name for it. My running form was off. It's always been off. PT post-surgery is the best time to fix it. I'm restarting my running form in a way. So I started running, right after, I think it was 5 weeks after surgery. And I run, there's lactic acid intervals in my SHRP workouts, but I also like to run. I don't run far just because I am not in the shape to do that, but I love it when I am running. For me, I want to stay in shape enough to where Colin and I can randomly decide to go on a 2-mile run and try to be able to keep up with him. It's,
Keep up with me? What are you talking about?
you were kicking my booty. Jeez, you made it
did
look
okay.
easy. You did very well.
It's hurting the next few days. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. But I think there's a little fear in my head of if I start the longer distance running of the injury coming back, because that's always a chance. I mean, what they do in your procedure is they cut all your compartments and you're supposed to grow scar tissue. Obviously, doesn't fix the compartment syndrome 100%. So I think there is some pain with running when I get to the longer numbers. I think if I train the right way, I would be able to do it. I think eventually I will want to. Just right now, I'm enjoying my lifting now that I'm able to do it to the full extent of it. But yeah, running, I can see in the near future, hopefully, maybe a half. Maybe I'll start with a 5K.
Question. Selfishly.
Yeah.
Recently you were a bridesmaid in a wedding.
I was.
How was that experience for you?
Best thing ever. Got to be my sister-in-law's bridesmaid. Be by her side on the best day.
Yeah.
So good. Best memories.
Good time.
So good.
Kind of a heated debate, but who's your favorite brother and why is it me?
Oh, dude, I got a whole list of questions ready. You want to play a game, Peyton?
I do want to play a game. I'm kind of scared though.
Let's do it.
We're gonna play which brother.
Okay.
So we'll start out. Which brother is the best golfer?
Like currently putting everything together.
Who's the
Easy
best golfer?
question. It's just a question.
You interpret.
It's a question.
I think I have to say Jaden.
That's one for the good guy.
As of lately, Jaden, I'm not sure, but
I would get
go with it.
smoked right now just saying Peyton. But I will take that answer.
It's open-ended. It's fine.
Gosh,
Next question, Colin. Let's move on from this.
Ooh.
I'm already offended.
You can include yourself in this one. Who's the smartest?
Ooh. That's not fair. You're all smart in different ways.
It's fair.
It's just a question.
I mean, Jaden's the most sciencey, smart, and holistic, natural smart.
I mean, we can skip all these if Jaden's just going to be the answer for everyone.
I know. I don't want to
Save
know.
my feelings.
Jaden's good at everything. How do
He
I
is
not pick
He-Man.
him? Yeah.
He is He-Man.
I can pick one and maybe I'll win. Who's the most annoying brother?
Ooh.
Most annoying.
Oh. She didn't answer the last one either. It
I
was
kind of
Jaden?
said Jaden. Kind of,
Okay.
yeah.
No, you did
I mean,
say
you're
Jaden,
all,
but
yeah. Wait, what was the question? I already forgot.
Most
annoying brother. Maybe growing up or presently.
Honestly, I think I would
that
say
might be
Colin
Jaden again.
because, yeah, growing up it was Jaden, but honestly, I think I would say Colin because Colin always gives. I would have a conversation with Colin and he gives me the "don't worry about it," you know.
Yeah,
Those
I think-
kind of
Hey, you don't say that.
Yeah,
I think Colin embraces. I think Colin embraces that role. I think he
Oh, you got to be
Yeah.
humbled every once in a while.
appreciates that. But yeah, Peyton, we had some run-ins. There was a lot of phone calls to mom, but
Come on, I always won. I was always the winner of all of those arguments.
yeah, that's the trump card right there.
Huh. Brandon, you were my hero when I was younger because I had to fight these two, and I knew Brandon would take my side.
That's right.
Who's
Ultimate mediator.
Who's the most athletic? I can rule myself out. 2-man race.
I think I gotta say Brandon. I do.
Different definitions of athlete.
There
So,
are.
however
I
you want to
know,
interpret
because
it.
then
It's
you
all
have running
open-ended.
and you have body movement, flexibility, and I think that would be Jaden. But then Olympic lifts and you guys are stressing me out and making exercise.
Then you have just pure insanity.
Yeah. God.
I will hit you with my head.
All right, we'll end with the Jadens. Who's the favorite brother?
I don't have a favorite. You are all the best brothers I could ever ask for. No, seriously, the fact that I want to have 3 boys and a girl growing up is only because I had the 3 best brothers. I want that for like my future daughter. So you guys are the best humans, my best friends for life, best role models. I only am the person I am because of you guys. So thanks for being amazing.
Somebody give me a tissue.
Hey, I think
Thank you,
Brandon
Jaden.
was maybe tearing up earlier. What was up with that?
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Saw it.
I was exposed. I'm a little sucker though. Although,
You are.
who said that? Joe. Who's the guy that
Jimmy
V? Yeah, you can't live a full day if you don't cry, right? Move to tears.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Can't live a full day if you're not moved to tears. So I kind of embraced that. That's why I cried. It's for Jimmy V. It's not for you, Payton.
Ouch. Kidding.
I was gonna say Joey V. So thanks for the pickup, Payton.
I got you.
All right, one more question. You're our first guest. A lot of podcasts with their guests will have a final question.
Oh God.
So maybe this will stick, maybe it won't. I've learned the importance of giving flowers from Brandon and giving people credit when credit's due and paying it forward in that sense. So who do you want to give flowers to? Who has been, first person comes to mind, who's been influential for you that you want to shout out, not including your brothers?
I have to say my mother, our mother. Sorry, not just us.
We gave Dad
I mean,
enough
we-
love already, so.
Yeah. No, but especially, I've always been Mama's girl, but especially after going through these injuries, Mom was by my side through all of it. I mean, she brought me to Mayo every single time. We had deep talks. We had so many laughs. We were delusional. We were mad together. We were all the things. She knows me better than anyone, I think, and she's been my earthly rock. She always will be. She needs to come on the podcast. She's a mom of wisdom. She's amazing. She's she's perfect. I love her.
Shout out.
She's the
Shout
best.
out.
She's the best ever.
All the things.
All the things. Everything.
Well, I think that'll do it. Payton, appreciate you being our very first guest. Fun little conversation, as always. But yeah, appreciate you coming on.
Thank
Maybe
you.
not bloodline, but she's pretty cool.
Hey, I was waiting for it. You didn't say anything about
Had to
being
sneak
adopted this whole time.
I had to sneak it in, you know.
Yeah, just for everyone listening, I was always called the adopted one, even by my own father. So
We'll put that,
Love that.
in the show poll. Is she adopted or not? We'll leave it up to you.
And that's why Tim didn't get the flower, so.
yeah, that's the only reason right there.
All right, siblings.
All good.
Till next
Love you
time.
guys.
Love you guys.
Bye. Love you all.
Girl.
Thanks for listening to the show. If you enjoyed today's episode, leave a rating, review, or tell a friend to check us out. Be sure to follow us at SHRP_training for more content to help you be your best self. Go be great today.